Good evening, everybody. If you could kindly please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you all for joining us this evening. Let the record show that all board members are in attendance with the exception of Mr. McCann. And congratulations to his son who is being confirmed tonight. And Mr. McGinnis is not with us yet. He might be running late. Okay, I just want to start tonight off. Again, thanking you all for being here. I just want to let you know again that the public is invited to speak on any agenda item at this time, if anyone has anything they'd like to say. Okay, community members will be reorganized from the signature cards that have been submitted. Names and contact information are required on all cards and must be submitted at the start of the meeting. The time will be limited to 20 minutes in total and will only continue as long as it's conducted in an orderly fashion. The intention of this is not to get into a back and forth debate on whether we agree or disagree with any issues. However, we're here to listen and to the public and reflect on what is heard. We do value everyone's opinion and consider it greatly when making decisions. So each person or representative of a group will be limited to 3 minutes. So thank you very much. Also, Friday, November 11th is Veterans Day. I would like to ask any veteran in the audience or up here at the dais to kindly stand up, please. We thank you for your bravery. We thank you for your sacrifice for this country. We're forever grateful for what you've done to maintain America's freedom. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your sacrifice, your bravery, and the example that you set for all of us. Again, thank you. Okay, can I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the October 18th, 2022 planning session?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to personnel, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Mr. Tussey, I have one that I'm going to read, and then we'll do the rest by consent. May I have a motion for the approval of the tenure appointment of Megan Linderman, business, effective December 8, 2022?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Megan, are you here?
And congratulations, Megan. So I met with Miss Linderman the other day, and we spoke just about the courses that she's teaching this year and her experience in West Islip so far. She shared that one of her favorite classes to teach was college seminar because she felt like she was making a real difference with her students. And I kind of left saying like, wow, that's really great. I love that, she's passionate about what she's doing. I met with a group of 5 high school students the next day. And actually one of the students shared with me during that meeting, totally unsolicited, that someone who's made the biggest impact for them in their career as a student is Megan, and that she was accepted early to college this fall, and she attributed that to all of your work and dedication. Thank you.
May I have a motion for the approval of the rest of the personnel agenda as listed in your backup?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. And before we move on to the curriculum update, I completely forgot, and I did write it in my notes. I just want to send a big thank you out to the high school, the Beach Street Middle School, and Newell Road Middle School PTAs for putting together the social last night. It was a great event, and we know how much work you guys continue to put into everything, so we do thank you very much. And our own Mr. Compatello was a big winner last night. One of the highlights, he won a Pilates workout. And he actually said he didn't know what it was, and I had him convinced that he won a spaghetti dinner at Miss Pilates' house. But that wasn't so much the case. But again, on a serious note, we thank you all for everything you put into that. All right, Ms. Morrison, the show is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good evening, everybody. The district's first Equity Committee meeting will take place on Monday, December 5th, 2022. The initial committee consists of approximately 20 members composed of central office administration, principals, directors, staff, and parents K-12. We are going to be working with Amanda Chasing, a representative from Eastern Suffolk BOCES, to define what equity means to us in West Islip, and we will be setting goals at future meetings using self-assessment tools. Future agenda topics related to West Islip and a timeline for additional meetings will be determined at the meeting as well. Data will be utilized to frame many of these discussions to ensure that all students are meeting with success and able to fully access our educational programs. This work is not new to West Islip, as opportunities to foster inclusivity are frequently explored and added throughout the district on a regular basis. For example, we are currently exploring No Place for Hate for the second half of the school year. No Place for Hate supports students and staff with learning about, supporting, and respecting each other's differences. We are proud of our current course offerings and supplemental learning experiences in the district, including assemblies, guest speakers, clubs, and activities, which are regularly reviewed and updated to ensure that all students feel welcome, supported, and included at school. Tracy Edwards from Western Suffolk BOCES has facilitated numerous PD sessions for staff in regards to the importance of ensuring that all students are included in the school community. An example of the types of questions we will be looking at are economically disadvantaged students provided with the proper support to ensure that they can participate in the same school activities and course offerings as their classmates? Do special education students have access to the same extracurricular activities and course offerings as other students? When assigned a project to complete, are students allowed to choose a topic or individual of interest to them, or are they told who and what they must research? Do we need to translate into various languages information shared by the district to ensure that our ENL parents are informed? Ms. Edwards was most recently in West Islip working with new teachers at New Teacher Orientation, and we plan to have her back soon to conduct parent academies. Updates will be provided to the school community throughout the year, and the committee's work will be guided by what's best for the students of West Islip. Superintendent's Conference Day is on Tuesday, November 8th. There are no students in school that day, but we have a very exciting day of learning planned for our staff. Our elementary teachers will be spending the morning delving into standards-based grading. It's one of our initiatives at the elementary level this year. They have been doing an amazing job with their work, and they will spend several hours collaborating and working together in grade level teams. Our secondary teachers had over 70 different PD topics to select from. They selected topics that were of interest to them. Topics being offered include, but are not limited to, project-based learning, ADHD in the classroom, innovative classrooms, upper level reading, effective and engaging review activities, critical issues in education today, and tech time savers for teachers. In the afternoon, the entire district, pre-K-12, will come together in the high school auditorium for the keynote address by George Koros. George is the author of several transformative books related to education, including The Innovator's Mindset, Empower Learning, Unleash Talent, and Lead a Culture of Creativity. I would just like to say that West Islip is very important. The majority of the PD sessions that we are running on Superintendent's Conference Day are being facilitated by our teachers, by our staff members, and by our administrators. So we're going to be gathering together in various places, learning from each other, and I would like to extend a thank you to everyone who is taking part in that day. Thank you, Mr. Tussey.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Morrison. I'm going to move forward on to the report on board committees. On October 18th at 6:30 p.m., the Audit Committee met with R.S. Abrams, the external auditors, to go over the year-end results and financial statements for the 2021-22 school year. The district received a clean opinion from the auditors. The auditors noted that the district's reserves are all at appropriate funding levels. There was only one comment on our management letter from the auditors, and it related to the excess fund balance in the school lunch fund. The audit partner commented that most districts in New York State will be receiving the same comments. This is due to the fact that school meals were free for students in 2020-21 and 2021-22, and were reimbursed at a significantly higher federal reimbursement rate as compared to years prior. At the planning session on October 18th, the board approved the 2021-22 audit report, as well as a corrective action plan, which speaks to how the district will spend down the excess funds, fund balance in the school lunch fund, and appropriate purchases and cafeteria improvement projects. The meeting ended at approximately 7:00 p.m. The audited financial statements and the corrective action plan are posted on the district website and on the business page as well. Mr. McCann could not be here tonight again. His son is being confirmed, but he did make a video for us regarding his building and grounds update. So we're going to get that going, and it is just a shade under 8 minutes in true Mr. McCann fashion.
Do you want to go first before we lose the crowd?
That's fine. All right, no, we're going to come back to Mr. McCann. So we'll do health and wellness with Mrs. Brown.
Good evening, everyone. The Health and Wellness Alliance met at 9:30 on Tuesday, October 11th at Paul J. Ballou. In attendance were myself, Tim Horan, Christine Elefanti, Grace Kelly, Nicole Paris, Diana Sepe, Dave Urbano, Ann Marshall, Melanie Steinweiss, Lauren Albanese, and Monica Fogarty. We reviewed financials. It was reported that the West Islip Health and Wellness Alliance 6th Annual Color Run was another great success. Over 250 people participated. We want to thank all the local businesses who sponsored the event, the most ever. We had the most participation ever by local businesses. And all the students and adult volunteers for making this such a wonderful family experience. The Color Run raises funds for the Health and Wellness Alliance to conduct educational programs throughout the school year. We discussed the newsletter. We're currently looking for articles for our February mailing. We also discussed the presenting mobile device safety in a future workshop. The next meeting is November 15th at 9:30 in the cafeteria of Paul J. Ballou. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. We'll move on to the Education Committee with Mr. Antonello.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Tussey. Okay, the Ed Committee met on Tuesday at Beach Street. In attendance are myself, Mr. Peter McCann, Tom Compatello, Anthony Tussey, Ms. Debbie Brown, Grace Kelly, Ron McGinnis, administrators, Dr. Paul Romanelli, Assistant Superintendent, Don Morrison, Assistant Superintendent, Lisa Pilati, and Mr. Brian Taylor. Also in attendance was Dr. Michelle Walsh. That's how the meeting started. We had a K-8 Ames Web presentation. So the Ames Web, as most of us know, it's just one component of support in the universal screening that we use to identify and respond to students in need. She shared a lot of data, like an hour's worth of data with the board, comparing West Islip to national standards. I tried to get a couple of takeaways. So as far as literacy skills and reading, grades K through 1 were slightly below national standards, 2 through 3 were right at national standards, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 were above national standards. In math, K through 1 were below national standards, 2 and 3 were even, 6 and 7 were below, 8 was even. So what does that all mean? So the main conclusions were that the student population has the necessary skills in place in time for high school, number 1. And Ames Web is very effective and always has been in the last 9 years in helping us to continue to focus on and identify students that need help. Dr. Romanelli also mentioned the possibility of developing a list of interventions to match up with student needs in the future. The second discussion was the topic of pre-K for the next school year and several options surrounding that. The board reviewed and will approve the district's professional development plan. The board also discussed issues surrounding CSIP, community service hours. We discussed foundations training that continues with second grade teachers in January. Mrs. Morrison mentioned to us about Superintendent's Conference Day coming November 8th and the activities surrounding that. Last discussed was the Equity Committee meeting, which will meet on December 5th. And the meeting ended at 8:25.
Great, thank you, Mr. Antonello. We're going to have Mrs. Keller report on the Finance Committee And we'll do special ed with Mrs. Brown before we do the video.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. The Finance Committee met on November 1st, 2022. In attendance was myself, Ronald McGinnis, Pete McCann, Rich Antonello, Debbie Brown, Tom Capitello, Anthony Tussey. Administrators present were Dr. Paul Romanelli, Elisa Bellotti, Dawn Morrison, and Brian Taylor. The purpose of the meeting was to review warrants for the month and discuss the pertinent fiscal matters. The meeting was called to order at 8:25. The following were presented and accepted by the committee: the Treasurer's Report, School District Funds, June, July, and August, and extracurricular for September, Payroll Summary for July, Internal Funds Audit Report for October, Systems Manager Audit Trail from 9/30/22 to 10/26/22, Payroll Certification for 10/7/22 and 10/21/22, and the review of warrants, reviewed board agenda finance items, approval of budget transfers, approval of surplus, which is the books in the Beach Street Middle School that were in poor condition or not relevant. And then one of the discussion items were on the board of agenda meeting for that day was a resolution related to the approval of a tax anticipation note, TAN, for the 2022-23 school year. West Islip has an evergreen resolution that was done in 1998 that gives the board approval to go out for a TAN each year. After discussing it with bond legal counsel, the district feels it is more transparent to have the resolution appear each year on the reorganization agenda as a not to exceed TAN resolution amount. For this year only, the TAN resolution will be on the November board agenda, and then going forward, it will appear on every July agenda. The next audit committee will be Thursday, December 8th at 7 p.m. with the district's internal auditors, Cullen and Danowski, to discuss the details testing done on the technology department and the annual risk assessment for the district. The meeting was adjourned at 8:33 p.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Kelly. And Mrs. Brown now, Special Education.
Hello again. The Special Education Committee met on November 2nd at 8:30 a.m. via teleconference. In attendance were myself, Board Member Ron McGinnis, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Dawn Morrison, Director of Special Education, Jean Dowling. We discussed updates to the student placements in special education. The meeting adjourned around 8:55 a.m. The next committee meeting will be December 7th. I'm also pleased to share that on October 13th, several members of the board, including myself, Mr. McCann, Mr. Compitello, Mr. McGinnis, Mrs. Kelly, along with Superintendent Dr. Romanelli, administrators Mrs. Morrison and Mrs. Dowling, had the opportunity to once again tour some of our amazing special education programs. I want to thank our principals, teachers, and students for always welcoming us. The board was divided into two groups. We made visits to Beach Street Life Skills, West Islip High School Life Skills, Paul J. Ballou and Oakwood Special Class, and ICT. We observed our wonderful teachers and kids in action. The teachers are amazing at effectively keeping students engaged while also meeting each student's individual needs. We observed some foundational literacy skill lessons. Kids were practicing letter-sound correlation, blending sounds, highlighting diagraphs, tapping out words, all great stuff. We were able to see a new sensory board at Paul J. Ballou that the kids like to use when they need a break. The students are just adorable. I saw my framed friends at Paul J. Ballou. We got a picture this time. And I just want to say these visits are probably one of the big highlights of being on the board. It's a great reminder of why we're all here, how wonderful the kids are and the staff. We are planning our next visit, which will include the consultant model and self-contained program at the high school, as well as the UDL integrated program. We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. And now to that long anticipated wait, we have our building and grounds update.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good evening, everyone. I appreciate all of you being here this evening. Sorry I could not attend. My son Peter is making his confirmation this evening. So I want to say congratulations to him and all of the celebrants that are celebrating tonight. Before we get to the Building and Grounds Committee, I just wanted to say what a wonderful time it's been the last couple of weeks. I had the pleasure of attending some of the Halloween trunk or treats and Halloween parades, and of course, the wonderful Gladstone community event on Halloween. And what a great spirit is out in the community. There's just so many great things going on. I know most of the fall sports are finishing up, just great seasons all around, and just a great atmosphere in the community, and thanks to everyone's help for that. A special thanks to the high school and Matt Udall and Beach PTA for their social last night. We had a great time at that, thanks to all the winners. Great people coming together to raise money to help our children is always appreciated. With that, Buildings and Grounds Committee met on October 18th at 7 o'clock. All board members, with the exception of Mr. Antonello, were present, along with Dr. Romanelli, Mr. Taylor, Ms. Pilati, Ms. Morrison, and James Bossy. We talked about a few major events, and I want to make sure I was covering them tonight, even though I'm not there in person. We talked about upgrading needs at the fire alarms in all the schools. So we've got fire systems and alarms that are about 40 years old, and many of you have heard we've had some kind of false alarms lately. All of that's a testament to the fact that we do need to make some improvements with the fire alarm system. So we've got a capital budget that we're putting together for the fire alarms. The second is air conditioning in all the classrooms. I know we've talked about this now for 6 or 8 months, and part of that discussion has gone from not just the comfort and making the rooms more education ready with being comfortable in terms of temperature, but also security. You know, part of that is how do we keep the first floor windows closed in the hottest months of the year and have the kids and teachers being able to be comfortable in classrooms. So I think that the air conditioning discussion has also related to security. So we've gotten our final quotes on the air conditioning systems. We're going to discuss them at our final next Buildings and Grounds meeting in November, where we hope to come up with the recommendation of the systems to go with. We are potentially talking about using the second capital reserve funds for that. That second capital reserve, as you remember, is a capital reserve we created in the last budget that the community voted on to use some of the reserve funds for capital projects. Using those funds will not have any increase in the current school year or beyond, so those funds are already set aside, but the community needs to vote on the use of those funds. Our mission is to put the fire alarms and air conditioning potentially on a ballot proposition using the second capital reserve to vote on putting those and approving those on a community vote. More to come next meeting, but we're hoping to have that, potentially even having that vote earlier, having a special vote on that we're going to talk about sometime in January or February, so that the project, if approved, can get underway in the summer, potentially being ready for September. All of this is being put on a capital improvement, capital project plan for the next Buildings and Grounds meeting, which we'll talk about, but more to come on that, but we are making large progress with both of those initiatives. We also did talk about the current state of the high school pool, and I know there's been some talk about the cost of that. We're in our early discussions as to what that looks like in replacement. The pool is 60 years old. It was one of the first pools in high school in Suffolk County. We're very proud of that. It is 60 years old. We've spent a few hundred thousands of dollars over the years trying to repair it, but it is at the point where in the next year or two it will be unrepairable. So we will put a capital budget together for that. Not sure on the financing of that yet, but it is a major project. It's not just a pool. Some people think, well, how much could a pool cost? But it's actually redesigning and renovating the entire pool structure. So it's a great aspect of our community. We found out that it is the most used athletic complex in West Islip for the community. So we think it's important, and if we get another 60 years out of it, it'll be money well spent. But again, we'll work up those numbers and present that in the upcoming meetings. The last topic we talked about that evening was the Becerra project. Again, we'd like to thank the advisory committees of all the community members over the last 6 or 7 months that have sent up the 3 recommendations to what we could potentially look at for that property. The first one is selling that for a single-family home. The second is to rehab and lease that to other entities similar to what we do at Currituck and at Westbrook. And the third was to potentially look at an in-house West Islip technology/vocational BOCES type school for our own students. So we are going to look at all 3 of those options. The latter option is probably the most largest to look at because of all the indications that will occur, but we're going to take a look at that. So the vocational technology potential school, the process will be for Dr. Romanelli and the educational staff to take a look at our current BOCES programs and other offerings that we may want to offer in the community, get the educational requirements, number of students elected, and courses to be taken, take that and then start to overlay that in terms of the current building and or what the building would look like to house that particular instruction. After that, we'll get quotes on either renovating the building and bringing that building up to code to get that happening, and then take a look at also a potential private partnership with some of the outside organizations that may want to invest in community education. Large technology or vocational companies that are looking for to train not only students but also potentially adults down the road on their technologies and their vocations. So we will explore that possibility. There's some legal ramifications for that, but we'll take a look at all that. So all of that is in the works, and we'll come back with recommendations for what that may look like. But very exciting for the three projects all around. The third project with the vocational technology school, we feel it would benefit our students and also reuse the property, keep the property in the West Islip community, keep the fields there, and potentially have a solution for vocational technology programs that maybe we don't offer in-house currently. So more to come on that, but thanks to all the Macera Advisory Committee work and all the people throughout the last 2 years who have voiced their concerns and appreciation for what that Macera property may be. So with that, our next meeting is in November, and we will keep everyone posted. I appreciate, again, not being there tonight, everything that the community does for these children and the administration, and we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. Thanks to everyone, and we'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCann. Okay. Moving on to business with Mrs. Pilati.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. May I have a motion for the approval of budget transfers 4246 through 4257 in the general fund and 4252 through 4256 in the capital fund?
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
May I have a motion for the approval of the surplus miscellaneous books at the Beach Street Media Center?
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion, please, of approval of the Chief Medical Officer salary increase from $2,600 to $5,000 per year?
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion of approval of the tax anticipation note regarding the authorization of the issuance of not to exceed $25 million tax anticipation notes in anticipation of the receipt of taxes levied or to be levied for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Dr. Romanelli.
Thank you, Mr. Tussey. Good to see everyone this evening. Just want to thank Mrs. Morrison. She outlined the superintendent's comments today, but I would say we have one of, if not the best plans on Long Island for superintendent's conference today. I'm really excited about sharing all the expertise of our staff in the district and just learning from one another. And it's going to be a great day. We do have the high school as one of our polling places now for that day, and the voting will take place in cafeteria A and B. So just please note, if you are planning on voting at the high school, we will be marking off a number of spots in the upper lot outside of the cafeteria. They will be reserved. We'll have security on the premises to direct you to a spot. So it'll be nice and easy. Staff will be parking in other locations and carpooling just to make that easier for the voters. We had a gentleman show up at one of our previous board meetings who invited us to check out the robotics club. And I was able to stop in one of these days after school last week. I was just so amazed by what is going on with our robotics team. They recently participated at Half Hall Hills in competition to prepare for the big competition coming up later in the year first. I spoke to one of the students and she told me what she was doing on the CAD software. She was designing a swerve wheel that would move 360 degrees for the robot, so it could actually swivel around and move in a 360-degree motion. She was designing it using CAD software and handing off the plans to a student who was using the CNC machine, who was actually cutting the pieces for that wheel in the machine, and other students were assembling the part together to add to the robot. So, I mean, it was really, honestly, one of the coolest things I've seen in my entire educational career, and was just so proud of the students. And there was another student who had coded a program for a camera that was able to recognize the difference between a human and the oversized tennis ball that they used for the competition. So the robot could scan the room, look at the tennis ball, scoop it up, and then shoot into the target. So really some amazing things going on just in that group. You know, that really, I was able to visit a number of the CTE classes as well with Brian Minomo, just to see all the great things going on there. And I was particularly impressed with the industry partnerships that we have in those classes. The learning taking place is so engaging and so relevant and meaningful, and our teachers have really put together a great program there in our CTE courses. I was also able to meet with some students this week. The high school, I kind of mentioned it before when I was talking about Ms. Linderman's tenure appointment, which congratulations again. They were sharing with me just a number of different things about the high school and what it means to be a student in West Islip. They were particularly proud of the music program that we have here, the athletics program, of the support that and guidance that they've received from our guidance counselors in their path for academics throughout the district. They told me that some were Beach Middle School students and others were Udall Middle School students, and there was a debate over whether Bagel Boss or Hot Bagels were the best bagels in West Islip, but I was told that it depends where you live, but that both were top. But I know some of the staff is still Bohemian Bagel, so anyway. The debate continues. We also talked about, asked them what every adult should know about being a student in West Islip, and they shared that they wanted everyone to know that we're really busy, is what they said. You know, our students are really busy. They have a lot of activities, they're working really hard, and that they're keeping really busy, so they want the adults to know that. I asked them if there was one request they could make. They asked if school could start a little bit later at the high school. So we said we would look at that, and it does actually, the research does support that. So, you know, we said we would take a look. Students are majoring in, I met with 5 students, one was majoring in either education or business or a combination thereof. One in sports broadcasting, another in speech pathology, another in accounting, another one's being an electrician. And you know, they really felt that the school had prepared them for a variety of different careers and shown them a lot of different options. Some students said they learned this about themselves in middle school using the Naviance program and different coursework that they've taken. And some students said that they really thought that maybe an internship program in some of the areas they were interested in would be really beneficial for them, particularly in the areas of accounting and things like that. And so that's something we're going to definitely be looking into. And just, you know, I won't go into all the details, but just have really enjoyed traveling around. I've been to Halloween parades, in-district music festival, which was incredible. Was last night with Mr. Kaufman and his informants with the 9th grade band. Was incredible to attend. Many athletic playoff events, social studies class visits to Vietnam, IB psychology, economics, AP European history. There are so many great things going on around the district and so much to be proud of. So I'm just excited for all that we have coming up ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Romanelli. And we are now moving into the public session. I just want to remind everyone, we have a large number of cards tonight, so I just, again, want to remind everyone that we do want to keep to the 3-minute marker so we can ensure everyone gets an opportunity to speak. The first card we have up is Devin Fernandez. Yes.
Okay. My name is Devin Fernandez. I'm a resident of West Islip, been a resident since
great. I'm married my high school sweetheart. We have 2 children. They went to the West Islip School District as well. I was an electrician by trade. Unfortunately, I was in explosion, which took my eyesight. From that, what I did is instead of...
Can't really hear you back there, I'm sorry.
There you go. Okay. So, we're good? Perfect. Okay, sorry about that. So anyway, I've been a resident of West Islip since 1973. Married my high school sweetheart. We had 2 children. Put them through high school and put them through school in West Islip as well. I was an electrician by trade, and unfortunately, I was in an explosion which eventually took my eyesight. So instead of just giving up, I started a program, not-for-profit, for the blind. It's a physical fitness program. We do martial arts, yoga, meditation, surfing, skiing, kayaking, horseback riding, you name it, we do it. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I understand that Mr. McCabe had 3 options for the Massera School, and I'd like to present a 4th one, which would be to convert that building into a Paralympic training center, which would be inclusive to everybody, for all athletes. We have a tremendous amount of disabled athletes on Long Island, and this would serve not only the West Side community, the disabled community, the able-bodied community. The fields in the backyard can be, converted into a beautiful track and field. All the Paralympic sports that you hear on TV, we can do it. We can bring in high-quality trainers, and this project would pay for itself. We wouldn't need money to do it. We just need permission to get the building and to get it started. This would also create a ton of jobs for the sighted and for the not the sighted, for the able-bodied and disabled individuals. So I just wanted to present that and hope that you guys would consider that. And I felt like I was on Shark Tank. I'm trying to convince you guys that. So, who's on board? No. But I honestly really would, be such a benefit to the community, and the traffic wouldn't be hindered. We have Suffolk Sunrise Highway right there. Local bus stops are right there. I think it would benefit everyone. So, bingo. That's my time. Perfect. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, we thank you, Mr. Fernandez, and that is something that I think we can definitely bring back to the committee and discuss at our next Building and Grounds meeting as well. So thank you very much for presenting that to us, and we will definitely do our due diligence and add it to our discussion.
Can I attend that meeting?
Yes, it is open to the public.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Great idea.
Okay, Mr. Fred Cordman.
Good evening, folks. I have some handouts for somebody could, some pictures before I get started here. And on the back of the points I wish to address. Okay, I'm retired Federal Senior Customs Inspector with 15 years service at JFK Airport. Additionally, I taught all customs topics: security, narcotics interdiction, use of technology, airport, marine, plane, ship, and cargo exams in 5 countries. I was awarded an outstanding certificate from the U.S. Customs Headquarters. I've been living in my present address for about 40 plus years and was able to help discourage a known drug dealer from selling narcotics on my street across from my house during my customs career. The 2 issues I wish to address are on the back of the picture that you have. The first point is action by the school board of keeping the gates open has resulted in dangerous high-speed driving by persons leaving the school grounds down Broadway Road as well as Larkspur Drive where I live. If you take a look at the picture, that shows what they call speed humps. in Babylon. That's Livingston Road, which goes north and south and winds up just east of the cemetery, the St. Joseph Cemetery. These speed humps effectively slow down auto traffic and could replace the useless speed bumps on school property, as well as on Barbary Road, if the town of Islip puts them in. As we all know, the town has jurisdiction over the public roads, not the school. So that would have to be approved by the town of Islip and the occupants. And second, all the school board has to do to speed up exiting via that Lions Path, which seems to have a little bit of a problem after these after-school events, is to contact the town and have them recalibrate the red light sequence. If you double that, twice the number of cars could exit onto the main road, which is really not all that busy at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So the people that have kids and are a little concerned about they want to go home, well, okay, there's a way to handle that without necessarily putting in more technology in. Just change the interval on the stoplights, okay? But this comes into point 3. There's a severe safety concern regarding insufficient security staffing because the gates are open. A little guard booth is the only way in or out, and it provides a way for people to get in and be looked at. Fine, okay? But the problem I'm concerned about is people coming in from the outside, and in particularly drug dealers. And trust me, they're there every day. I did this for a living. They're coming in, and when you give them access to the school without any screening at all, to make it a little easier for people to leave, they're bringing in criminals, okay? Any deranged criminal can easily access the parking lots to sell drugs or worse, get into the school and maybe murder students and staff. Remember Texas, Uvalde? I've studied every instance where people have been killed by insane people with illegal weapons, and it was always getting access to the school property. Okay, so
I think Dr. Romanelli would like to respond to your request at this point.
All right, so first off, thank you, Mr. Corman. I appreciate also you taking the time to come out tonight. There's a number of items here about Barbary Gate this evening. Just appreciate the work you've done in your career. You know, when we initially decided to open up the Barbary Gate for after school, I just want to be clear that we've had the Barbary Gate open for arrival, and we've had it open for dismissal. We've had it closed during the school day. That all remains the same. So I just want to, for anyone concerned about safety during the school day, all traffic during the school day comes through the Lions Path Gate, and that is the only entry into campus. The change that was made was the after-school activities, leaving the gate open until 9 o'clock. The gate is still closed after 9 o'clock on the weekends, on holidays, and over the summer. So that was the big change, was the extension of after-school. The reason that decision was made, we felt that there was a big traffic flow, as you addressed, on campus, that was causing a lot of issues internally on our campus. That we were able to alleviate by opening up the gate. We have a full parking lot each day after school. We have a tremendous amount of after-school activities, of athletic events, of evening events, and felt that it would ease in the congestion that we face on campus during that time. We also, I just see some things here about the emergency vehicles coming in and out. I know there's some debate about whether or not that's a valid argument, because ambulance will be coming from the West Islip Fire Department, but the proximity to Good Sam Hospital and heading out there is one of the concerns of ours as well. I was in contact with Deputy Commissioner Carter. I know that the community is concerned about speeding in the area, stopping at the stop sign. He's put enforcement in the area and has looked to check, has ensured us that he put enforcement in the area. Well, he is insured. I have spoken to him. He's insured us that he's putting enforcement in the area. So, again, if anybody does want to get up and speak, that's totally, everyone has 3 minutes and the cards to get up and speak. I'm just explaining why we made the decision that we did. We're also open. I see that this visual that Mr. Corman provided about the bumps and the slow down, this sort of piece here on the other side. We have been in touch with different legislators about how we can improve the area, and all the concerns that people have in terms of speeding and things like that. But we do, again, I know Mr. Tussey said in the opening, we're not necessarily looking to get into a back and forth debate. We want to hear what you have to say. We respect the fact that you came out tonight and that you want to share your opinion, and we're here to listen to that and reflect on that, and we will go back as a team and talk about your concerns. So, thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that. One final comment, okay? My concern is the safety of the students and the staff on school property.
That's our concern as well, sir.
Okay, and it's just simply, it's really worrisome because I sit out on my porch and I watch cars going by 70 miles an hour on Little Larkspur Drive, and I know people are dealing drugs. I know this. I did this for a living, and I know they're doing it in every suburban community. And I don't want this to happen if we can do something to minimize it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, next up, we do have a card from Russell Brown.
Good evening. My name is Russell Brown. First off, thank you for giving us the time to speak to the board and the administration. And Dr. Romanelli, welcome to West Islip. I hope you have a healthy and successful career here. Just some history about myself. I am an FDNY, 20-year veteran of FDNY. I'm a chief officer for 8 years. And just some things about going with this, kind of like, you're going to hear from a lot of the neighbors here about the speeding and the safety. But just some stuff like that you deal with as a public official like yourselves, right? Because I've done it firsthand. So whenever I give an order, right, if I tell someone to go in the hallway, do whatever, it's on me, right? Kind of like stuff rolls uphill, right? So if something goes south, it's going to land on my shoulders, right? Same thing with the decisions that you guys make every day. So whatever decisions you make, whether you like it or not, it's going to come back to, haunt you, right? So you just want to make sure, like, whatever decision you make, there will be consequences involved, right? And God forbid there ever is a serious accident on Barberry or Larkspur, it's going to come back to the people who are responsible for creating that problem. And opening the Barberry gate is creating a problem. I understand you can't control the traffic and the speeding because that's a town issue or a cop issue, I get it. But what you can control is what direction people go. I mean, we've all been to concerts at Jones Beach, whatever, wherever you go to see a concert, it's a great time. When you leave, you sit in traffic. That sucks. We know that. Everyone knows that. Same thing with Barberry Road or whatever. It's not an extra way to go. You have to sit in traffic to get out of whatever sporting event you went to. You just deal with it. The inconvenience of people to drive an extra 2 minutes to go around the road, it's not worth the safety that you're putting in the lives of people on Barberry and Larkspur. Just for the kids and everything like that, it makes no sense. I just know respect, it's earned, right? And if you made a poor decision, going back and saying hey, I messed up, I'm gonna change the decision I made, that's more respectable than saying I made a decision, I'm putting my foot down, I'm not changing it. So listen to everyone here tonight, see what they have to say, and really think about the decisions you're making, and is it really worth it? An ambulance response, that's kind of like a cop-out an answer, right? Even if they're going to good stand for getting there, have the security guard open the gate so they have a quick route to get out. You have security here 24 hours a day, right? Or whatever the school is open. So you don't need to have the gate open for ambulance response. That's totally it. And besides that, I don't know my time's coming out, but in terms of the bagels, I know Wally's Bagels is a more bagels. I would say Wally's is probably a better bagel. It's just my personal opinion. But again,
Talk about long lines, though.
So online, next door, online ordering. Just thank you for the time for everyone here, and just think about what's the consequences of the decisions you guys are making. I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you again, and we'll take your concerns as well as Mr. Kerman's, and we will add them to our conversation. So thank you. Okay, we do have a card from Ms. Kara Kelly.
Good evening. I'm Kara Kelly. I have 3 children in the school district, 9th grade, 7th grade, and 4th grade. I've been in the town since 2007. I'm a Wilson reading specialist. I'm going to start from the bottom. I did this the wrong way in my head. I'm requesting that the district allocate funds for the teachers, reading teachers or special ed teachers that are willing to get trained to become Wilson certified. A lot of our students receive RTI, and some of them need even more. They have diagnoses of dyslexia or learning disabilities. And a lot of the parents are feeling misled because their neuropsychs are saying that they should have a program like Wilson Reading, Orton Gillingham, which Wilson is based off of Orton Gillingham, and they're being told they're receiving it, and they're absolutely not. There's not one teacher in any of our elementary schools that is level 1 certified in Wilson Reading Intensive. I have a lot of tutoring students. By requesting this, I'm putting myself out of business, but I'd rather do that than have parents come to me frustrated. I sit in on IEP meetings, and it just leaves a bad taste in a lot of the parents' mouths. They feel like they can't trust the special education committees. They feel like they can't trust the reading teachers, because when you're being told that your child is receiving a specific program, they're not. Being certified, I know that most of the teachers here probably went to the introductory course, that's 3 days. My certification was almost 2 years with somebody overseeing me. Correcting my mistakes, I chose a student. There's so many parents here that would be so willing to have their child be a practicum student where somebody is helping them through the process. I know the school pulls from the Da Vinci Center and they have a consultant come in. That's not the same as having somebody level 1 certified. So I'd just like the board to take that into consideration, allocate funds. I'm sure that some of the teachers would want to be certified if they didn't have to pay for it themselves. And if we could get at least 2 teachers in every elementary school to be certified, that would be amazing. Thank you.
So I'll pass it off to Ms. Morrison in a second, but this is something that, we feel passionately about, and we agree that we want to have a variety of programs and interventions for our students, so we think about this in a number of different ways. We have assessments that we do within the district. There are a number of them, all one piece of information, but we put them together to take a look at where our students are at a point in time and set growth targets and set where they're going throughout the year. We're taking a look at our Tier 1 instruction within the classroom and how we deliver that. And we're asking the question, what if students aren't meeting with proficiency? What happens then? So what we're trying to do is develop a list of interventions that we think are meaningful for our students. I hope that you would agree that each student is a unique individual and that there's not one particular reading program that may be like the perfect one for every student. However, we do believe that we should have each program, and we should have teachers trained in each program and be able to have sort of an arsenal, so to speak, of ways to deliver interventions to our students. Mrs. Morrison can add some of the most recent training that we've done, but we do agree with you. That's a goal of ours and something that we're looking to develop. And kudos to you. We do know that it's a long process. We've talked about everything with the board, that I know the board is very passionate about this as well, about incentivizing teachers for this, and taking a look at how we can do this within our schools in terms of financially responsible way, and what the time frame is for that. So we are looking at that.
With the school board support over the last few years, we have really made literacy instruction a high priority here in the district. We do routinely reach out to our teaching staff to see who would be interested in possibly getting Wilson Level 1 certification. At this point, we haven't had anybody be able to commit to the process of it, but it is something that we do routinely reach out and ask. I am confident in the training that we do provide the teachers. I know you mentioned the 3-day, which our teachers do have, but on top of that, we also have, as you mentioned, Da Vinci consultants coming into the classrooms, working alongside those teachers, modeling, watching them teach, providing them with constructive feedback. So we do feel very comfortable that we are providing very effective instruction in those various Orton Gillingham type programs, but we do continue to ask our staff if there is interest in going for the certification.
And if I could just add, we have had some think tank style meetings with our special education department already this year. I know that I've only been here for a few months, but what I've seen is, really a willingness to expand on our repertoire. I know Ms. Morrison has just arranged for training. We have 2 teachers at each of our elementary schools actually going out to become Gordon Gillingham certified. So that's something that we're starting this month. Yeah, so we're excited about that. We're going to keep building on our program, and we're going to keep get there, and we're partnering with Special Ed on that. So we're excited about the future there.
Okay, thank you again. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Sarah Toller.
Hello, good evening. My name is Sarah Toller, and I live at 23 Barberry Road, approximately 270 feet from the Barberry Gate entrance of West Islip High School. When my husband chose to retire at 20 years of active duty service, we chose West Islip to settle for the sense of community and for the many things that it had to offer. I am a wife, I am a mom, I'm an HR professional, and I just ask that you guys actively listen with empathy to the stories from our neighborhood. Without having the appropriate controls in place, the residents have to engage with aggressive, reckless, and unexperienced drivers. Tensions have escalated among residents, school staff, and parents over the driving behaviors. Reactive measures such as police presence and the communications sent to staff and parents may yield positive short-term results. However, in my 5 years on Barberry Road, we have not sustained those behaviors. My questions to the Board of Education is, what analysis was done to determine that having the Barberry Gate Road open daily until 9 p.m. was the appropriate response? What involvement, if any, from the Town of Islip Traffic Safety Board played a role in your analysis? And what traffic safety and speed interventions, preventions, and mitigation strategies were explored? My recommendation is a thorough analysis completed and in partnership with the members of the neighborhood, a combination of safety, traffic, and speed responses are implemented.
So we are open to working with the neighborhood. Appreciate your suggestions there. What we went on in making our decision was the internal observation on our campus, consultation with the building administration, consultation with our security team, and looked at things on the actual campus. However, totally open to your suggestions, and that's something that I'll give you a call about how we can talk about that.
I appreciate it. And just with empathy, listen to our members. We want you to just understand where we are, because many people here have been cussed out by parents, and that's the behavior their children see, and we don't want that in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Asher Toller? Asher, 7th grade?
5th.
5th grade. Big guy. So listen, I saw you take that deep breath. Take another deep breath. You're going to be fine.
Thanks. Hello, Board of Education and West Islip community members. My name is Asher Toller, and I'm 10. I have learned to be safe on my bike and skateboard, but with the gate open till my bedtime, it is not safe anymore. I worry about my friends in kindergarten on my street, like Sean, Sam, and Patrick. Please consider our safety. Thank you.
Duly noted with your concerns.
Thank you, Ashley.
I think they deserve another round. It's always more powerful when the kids come up and speak, especially a fine young gentleman like that. All right, Alicia Brown.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alicia Brown. I'm a resident on Barberry Road. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm speaking tonight to bring attention to my safety concerns about the Barberry Road gate being open from 1:15 to 9 p.m. each school day. I am concerned for the well-being of all people living on Barberry Road, Larkspur Drive, Ivy Court, and the people who are leaving through the Barberry gate at excessive speeds. It is my hope we can act proactively rather than reactively when someone gets hurt due to reckless driving. The decision to open the gate happened very suddenly without consulting all constituents who would be directly impacted. On Tuesday evening this past week, after the football game, my family was playing in the raked leaves in our front yard and chalk in our driveway. From 5:50 p.m. until 6:07 p.m., we witnessed continuous traffic with numerous cars going over the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit. No cars slowed down as they passed our house with our 4-year-old daughter playing there. She knows the importance of not going in the street. However, young children can be unpredictable. I believe cars cannot see our front yard as they leave the high school from Barberry Gate due to the trees blocking their immediate view on neighboring properties. Someone who is texting or distracted, a new driver, someone on an adrenaline rush from the game, or even just a simple overlook can lead to a terrible accident. We are at risk even to pull out of our driveways during that time. I reached out to Dr. Romanelli on October 18th and did not receive a satisfactory response addressing my specific concerns for the opening of the Barberry Gate. I'm hoping tonight we can get more direct answers on how the Barberry Gate being open this late will help all students succeed and operate the school district in a safe and efficient manner. One of the reasons initially shared for opening the gate was the need for the ambulance response to respond in an emergency. I understand the need for rapid response, however, with the congestion caused by additional cars coming and leaving the Barberry Gate, an ambulance response will be hindered. There is no place for cars to yield as we're a single-lane road with parking permitted in the street after school. I believe it would be much more wiser to have a security guard open the gate for the arrival of the ambulance. I also understand the school is not responsible for what occurs on public roads, but you are responsible for your property. Dr. Romanelli states that the security maintains a presence and monitors the parking lot and gate. If this is the case, why are there skid marks in the pavement from drivers doing donuts in the high school parking lot that was just redone? In addition, the students that leave school prior to the end of the day are constantly honking their horns, accelerating while leaving campus. Where is the security detail to help maintain the safe and efficient environment for after-school educational activities? Even though you cannot control how your staff, bus drivers, students, or guests drive on public roads, you can control where they go. I would not want to be a direct cause of a tragic accident occurring because you are trying to make it more convenient for after-school visitors. The Lionsgate entrance has speed bumps and a security booth designed for traffic control. Barberry Road was not designed for this volume of cars. Thank you.
So thanks for those comments. I just want to add that the last thing that anyone wants is a tragic accident. And I do believe our security team does an excellent job of keeping our campus safe. And so I do believe that, and they work really hard. And I'm proud of our team that we have. I did respond to every email and phone call that I received from residents. We're also here this evening to hear your concerns. I've received, a number of emails, a number of different questions. I actually met with our team this week to go through all of the questions and all the emails and respond in the best way possible. And I do assure you that we're hearing everything that you have to say tonight.
It should be another.
I gave same answers to the same questions. So,
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to speak, please fill out a card and come up to the
It
podium.
should be another accident because you're aware of the student that was almost killed, correct?
Yes, we're aware. I'm going to call up Mr. James Dell, please.
You're aware of that? You're aware of that? Still did it anyway.
Hi, my name is is James Dell. I live at 25 Barbary Road, West Islip. That's about 100 feet from the gate. We moved to West Islip about 18 years ago, and one of the reasons why we moved, because it was a great school district, we heard. Two boys went to the school and graduated. Since those gates have been open, we had nothing but problems. Noise, garbage on our lawn, speeding cars, yelling, whistle blowing, and constant noise from the diesel generators that were running. 2 weeks ago, my wife had a car parked out on Barberry Road, and the driver's window was broken. And we got it fixed. The lights are shining down the block, halfway down Barberry Road. If you walk out of your house and you turn to the right, it's blinding. That's how strong those LED lights are. Last year you had them. You had them out there, there were 4 of them. Now there's 6, and they're facing straight ahead. Not so much on the field, they're lighting up the field, but they're also lighting up Barberry Road. The other night, I'm laying in my bed, it was around 8:30, because I get up at 5:30 in the morning, so I'm in bed early. And that's all I heard was yelling, whistle blowing, and very annoying. Dr. Romanelli, we're asking you to close those gates. Please make an effort to do so. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to Joanna Pilati.
Good evening. I'm Johanna Pilati at 9 Barbary Road. I have lived at this location for 25 years. I've raised 4 sons who all graduated from this West Islip district. Good or bad, this is my first experience at a Board of Ed meeting. I am attending tonight on behalf of myself and my neighbors, especially my 94-year-old mother, who is now permanently living with me and loves taking quiet walks in our neighborhood. I'm here to discuss the decision made to keep the Barberry gate open from 3 to 9. Notice I say 3 to 9. 25 years, I'm used to the other times. Oh, and I was told typically on weekdays, as per a discussion with Dr. Romanelli and a notice from Dr. Bridgman, hand-delivered nearly a month after the decision was made. The lack of communication and disrespect as a tax-paying resident for the last 25 years. This decision made by safety and security team, along with building and grounds, whatever, left one detail out, not discussing the matter with the people it directly affects, our Barberry Road community. How I found out about this was the amount of cars racing up and down my street. I began to call neighbors on Barberry, like, what's going on? They made this decision? Everybody felt the same, disheartened, frustrated, and angry. We are very disappointed with the West Islip School District for abruptly making a decision that affects 41 families without notice. We have, for 25 years, received a formal letter, dated and delivered in August, discussing the gates opening as an overflow option for specific nights for the current school year. Reasonable, understandable, respectful. What has changed? What caused this decision to make Barberry Road the second entrance and exit to the school, permanently through our neighborhood? We are not the school entrance or exit. People in our neighborhood are paying an average of $20,000 per year in taxes. We should not feel like our street is the main entrance to a school, which of course, we all know where that is, Igby Lane. If this decision remains, we will fight for our tax dollars to be lowered by a lot. Your decision respectfully never has done this. Your decision respectfully never was done before by any prior school administration, who for over 25 years kept an open, positive, and respectful line of communication. My neighbor and I began to canvass all throughout the West Islip community. Our community feels the exact same way as we do. We have collected, not just our neighborhood, it's all over West Islip, south of Montauk. I know people like to put us up against them, but 200 names, address, and emails rejecting your decision. This canvassing was done in a matter of only 3 days. We are confident we could get much more signatures. Our gate has been historically closed after school for good reason, that those involved in this decision should never forget. I do not like to forget history, and we should all learn from it. We've had many tragic accidents on Montauk Highway and Barberry Road. Most notably is Chris Wilson on October 24th, 2011, who tragically got hit by a car walking to school. We have a traffic light as a result from this tragedy. What are we trying to create here? More traffic? More congestion? Another tragic accident?
Mrs. Palladio,
It's not safe.
and I don't mean to cut you off, but I do greatly appreciate
It's
what
not
you're
safe,
saying.
and it's
Excuse
great.
me, we're going to have a decorum here, and we're going to run this properly, and we're giving everyone the same amount of time, and I don't want to seem disrespectful. I do want to collect a petition from you. I would like to have you hand that in to us.
Happy to take a look at that.
Most definitely.
I'm going for more. And it's not just.
But you want to hand me what you have? Okay, thank you. All right, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, it's Stephen Spiegel-Gariff. I don't think I said that right. How do you say it? Thank you.
Good evening. I've been a resident, my name is Steve Spitaler. I've been a resident on Barberry Road since 2015. My wife and I love West Islip. We love everything that's been about it since we moved here. We considered moving a while ago because my wife works in the city, but she loves the neighbors, the community, so we stayed. Since you guys opened up the gate, it's led to a direct, diminished quality of life for my household. I have a 6-year-old, soon-to-be 6-year-old son, who just learned to ride without training wheels, and I can't go out after school with him and practice riding the bike outside. I don't know if you guys realize, there's no sidewalks on that road. There's no sidewalks. So not only are we talking about the residents there, but you're talking about all the walkers walking up and down the street, going to the high school every day, who are liable to get hit by these cars. I've seen cars going around into oncoming traffic. I've seen honking like everything everyone else has said, all right? I don't need to beat that drum any more than it's already been said. My bigger issue is the school safety. We live in 2022. 2022. Active shooters are a very real thing, and school safety is of the utmost importance. Why are we leaving an unmanned gate open for hours at a time? You guys are high school. How often do you guys get bomb threats? At least a couple times a year, right? You just left the gate open that somebody could plan something for the next day. It's open until 9 o'clock at night after the sun goes down. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. All right? My other question is Ogden Lane entrance. Is that gate open until 9 o'clock at night too? Is it? No? No? Is it? Is the Ogden gate?
I'll respond once you've asked all your questions.
All right. That's my other issue, okay? Because I don't believe it is. As far as stuff for PD being down there the other day, that's great. I love it. My other issue, though, is why was an email sent to the entire staff that the police would be at the corner of Barberry Road and Roxbury? Because the teachers are just they fly down the road just as much. And that's coming from the administration and you guys. Sending emails, why don't you put a billboard out? Come on. My last thing is what this all comes down to, because I see I only have 15 seconds left. It comes down to one thing. It's laziness or safety. Right now, you've chosen laziness. You showed laziness. The smart and safe thing to do was to close the gates at whatever time it was for the last number of years, because that's the safe thing to do. If I go out and do the lazy thing in my job, people get hurt. It's a safety thing. You're choosing laziness over safety. When has that ever been the right decision in the history of our country? And that's not what I teach my son every day. And that's what we're choosing here. That's what I'll do.
Just as a response to that, no, those other two gates on Ogden and Dubois are not open until 9 p.m. The intention there was to have one west-facing entrance and one south-facing entrance to the schools during that time. So, again, maybe that may be a point to disagree on. We've noted your concerns.
Okay, coming up will be Janine Carroll.
Good evening. My name is Janine Carroll, and I live at 11 Barbary Road. This is a road that used to bring a smile to my face as I walked my dog and chatted with my neighbors, where I watched the children ride their bikes and play, relaxed on my porch, and heard sounds of laughter and birds. Now, my walks are fewer and far between. There are no children riding or playing. I don't like to sit on my porch anymore, and the sounds are of honking and speeding cars. My life, as well as the lives of my neighbors, has been completely turned around. The decision to keep the Barbary Gate Road open from dismissal to 9 p.m. is a life-altering decision that was made with no regret for the people whose life it affects the most. I moved into my home knowing about the gates opening for arrival and dismissal. I was told that this was to allow the students to enter into and exit from their designated parking lot only. It is not, nor was it ever, a main entrance to the high school. I was okay with this because I knew it was only for short periods, and also because I appreciate the letter I received every August from Principal Bridgman, who I thought would be here. In his letter, he states the school is aware of and respects our needs to have our streets safe so that our children can play, and so that we can conduct our normal activities daily. What has changed? What did we do to lose that respect? And by the way, those undated flyers about the decision that were left in our mailboxes this Monday are an insult to our intelligence. This brings me to many questions we have about the research, peer-reviewed studies, and due diligence that was done prior to this decision. The traffic patterns being affected, the accident data from the intersection of Barbary and Montauk. Am I correct to assume it was done? If not, then why not? I mean, you all say this decision has everything to do with safety. Well, show us the facts to back up your decision that this was deemed safe. What you're doing by opening these gates until 9 p.m. is congesting Barbary Road with traffic and creating a town cut-through. Why is that okay? Our neighboring streets like Milligan, Hall, and Wagstaff, to name a few, have no left turn sign at the Montauk Highway intersections. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. It's to ease the traffic congestion on those streets. What if we just took those signs away, telling those people, not telling those residents why? I'm sure they'd have a problem with it too. So why us? Why is it okay to inundate our peaceful block with traffic? We recently became aware that the new turf field is being used for activities other than the high school sports. So, no security at the gate, random cars up and down our streets after dark, speeding, running stoplights. Is that what you want our neighborhood to become? I wanted Principal Bridgman to be here, because I heard that he cleaned up the drug program in the school, problem in the school. Do you want to go backwards? We have already had incidents of rowdy, racist behavior, vandalism, and lewd conduct on our block since this decision was made. Statistically, drugs will follow. I'm genuinely afraid for the people who live in the first few houses past the gate. They can't even get out of their driveways without risking their lives. People race out of that parking lot. It's a blind curve coming out of it. Do you even know that? When, not if something tragic happens, but when it does. When something tragic happens, will you be able to sleep at night? They say silence is golden. Well, in many instances it is. When people just want an honest answer, silence fuels skepticism. We are skeptical of your motives in making this decision and want it reversed.
So I heard some of the same concerns from Ms. Toller before about study and, looking into that. And like I said, I will be in touch with her to talk about that within the community.
So we just had 10 speakers on Barbary, and I think according to the cards, we might be moving into a different direction. But I just want to say this. I know we're not doing a lot of speaking up here, but we are listening, and I promise you we are taking your concerns seriously. We all live in this community. 5 out of the 7 of us have children in the school. We understand your concerns with your children's safety, and we respect your concerns with your quality of life. So with that being said, obviously, we're not making any decisions tonight one way or the other, but we are going to go back and we're going to continue to assess the situation and discuss it, and I promise you that your concerns are not going to just fade away. It will be a topic of conversation. I know Dr. Romanelli has expressed multiple times that he and his team are having this conversation almost on a daily basis, and the board will be involved as well. And I hope that we can come to a conclusion that is beneficial and best to all. So I guess really the last thing I can say with that is just thank you all for coming down tonight and for expressing those concerns.
Nobody else can speak?
Oh, we do have the card. Yeah, no, we're going to have more speakers.
Is there a timeline on that decision?
Yeah, I don't really know if I could comment and say there is a timeline, because I don't want to say a week and it ends up being 2 weeks, and I don't want to say 2 weeks and it ends up being 1 week. I would think the timeline would be as long as it takes us to make the best and most educated decision that we can do. So I know it's kind of a fluff answer, but that's really the best I have for you.
The longer it takes, the more dangerous it is for the kids.
Duly noted, thank you. All right, we're going to call Ms. Alessi up to the podium.
Good evening, my name is Michelle Alessi. I am the parent of a senior and a college freshman. I am also the vice president of the high school PTSA. I regularly attend the monthly Board of Ed committee meetings such as education, finance, building and grounds, audit, and planning sessions, which are all open to the public. On Tuesday night, I attended the education and finance committee meetings, and although I emailed you all after that meeting, I wanted to still share my concern about your decision that night to suspend, again this year, the CSIP, Community Service and Involvement Program. For those of you that are not aware, this program was rolled out in September 2018 by Lori Director, the Director of Counseling. The class of 22 were freshmen at the time. I have the original document here that was distributed to the parents and students describing what was being required for graduation, and it reads as follows. The CSIP program has been created in order to promote extracurricular opportunities and encourage students to become creative, active participants in our school, community, and society. The goal states they want each student to become a concerned, connected, and contributing member of the West Islip community. Students were to earn 40 points of service over 4 years. Points and hours were to be earned by participating in clubs, sports, honor societies, intramurals, and various other forms of service and volunteerism. My kids and I were on board. In my opinion, it was not a lot to ask to complete 40 points in 4 years. When COVID hit, things obviously changed with events, sports, and school being shut down, so the high school reduced the requirement from 40 to 25 points for the class of 22 and 23. Following that, they suspended the program altogether for the class of 22, the very first graduating class that they rolled it out for. If students did complete the hours, they got a seal on their diploma. Now, they're doing the same thing for the class of 2023 and suspending the program to not have it be a graduation requirement. I do not agree with this decision. I know many students who worked hard to accumulate points and hours over 4 years for this requirement, as well as achieve Century Club status. We have been open now for quite some time post-COVID, and there have been ample opportunities for students to complete these requirements. Since the decision to cancel it for this year has already been made, I encourage you to bring back the program next year or create something like it to promote the very thing you set out to do, which is foster a desire to civic responsibility and engagement. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for the emails that that you sent yesterday and for coming to speak tonight. We appreciate the feedback, and we have been talking as a group in regards to the information that you have shared. The reason why we went forward to suspend CSIP was based on parental and student concerns voiced to the school counseling office that many of our current seniors do not have close to the number of hours necessary in order for them to attain the requirement. So many parents were upset and concerned that this was going to be an impediment to their children graduating in June of 2023. A lot of families have expressed that because of the pandemic, and yes, we are out from it, it just kind of put some of them in different places in being unable to get out to complete some of these hours. So we do recognize the importance of the community service hours, and we are going to continue to have discussions in regard to them.
And I would just say that, you know, regardless of what the decision is about this year and the suspension of hours, I think it's something that we all believe is important, the service and involvement in the school piece. We just want to make sure that we're doing it correctly and in a way that all students can access it. So I think it was raised for discussion for the first time last night. Was that last night? Tuesday night. And, you know, that's something that we're in discussion about.
I thought it was decided. I thought you went back and told the reason that it was decided that it's going to be canceled now.
I have not had that conversation yet with Mr. Arini. You know, one of the issues last year when it was brought to my attention was that more than half of the graduating class of 2022 had not completed the required hours, and it would be unrealistic for us to not have half of our senior class graduate because the hours were not completed. I don't know if we're still in that range for this year, but I do know that the number is significant. And again, we just don't want to be in a place towards the end of the school year where we're saying students can't graduate because they didn't complete these hours based on some obstacles that may have still been preventing them due to the pandemic. But we will continue to talk about it. You know, we value the importance of it, and we will share information as it becomes available.
Thank you, Mrs. Morrison, as well. All right, Deborah Chaleff? Chaleff? Third guest.
Can you hear me? Last school year, I called upon the ADL for help due to ongoing anti-Semitic incidences. I have been vocal about these incidences for years. Last April 2022, the ADL met with Ms. Morrison and presented multiple options of anti-bias programs. On April 11th, the ADL received an email from the district saying that they would be following up in the next few weeks in regard to the next steps. It is now November. Just about 7 months later, and according to the ADL, they never heard back from the district. Dr. Romanelli, hello, welcome. The ADL has already sent you an email. Ms. Morrison, you are included. They are reaching out to you again. There has been a rise in anti-Semitism. You have to be living under a rock not to know it. Don't be silent, or you're part of the problem. I am a Jewish mother of Jewish children. I am a mother of a child with a disability. I'm a mother of a child who is part of the LGBT community. I have it all. And we have attracted negativity and hate for it all. All. All the time, both kids. And I'm done. And that's why I'm saying this publicly and not behind closed doors, not in a meeting, and I don't want to hear it anymore. I look forward to your plans for DEI, which is state mandated. That's all.
So thank you, Ms. Shayla, for sharing your comments. I just want to share that, you know, personally, I have experience working with the Anti-Defamation League, you know, in my school administrative experience. worked with them for a number of years. Was principal of a school that was designated No Place for Hate School through ADL for a number of years, brought it into the district and expanded it in previous places that I've worked in. And I think it's a wonderful program that allows buildings to do 3 activities or 4 if they're going to be a school with distinction throughout the year. It's something that Mrs. Morris and I were talking about this week, about how we can roll this out in West Islip for this school year and how we can really take a look at bringing that into our schools. Our belief is that all students are welcome in our schools. We want all students to feel that way. We want all families to feel that way. There is no place for hate in our school system and in our community, and we feel very strongly about that, and we're committed to that work. I can tell you that a number of those, while you're speaking of anti-Semitism, that's not the only focus, although it is through the Anti-Defamation League of the No Place for Hate program, and it does cover school-generated, student-led sort of projects in the building where they see the importance of, really addressing issues like this and leading that work amongst the school. That's when I've seen it be most successful, is when it's student-led and when there's a buy-in from the student body and people really want to make change in the community. So we're going to be working on that this year, and just appreciate your comments.
But there also has to be training to staff.
We've had some training to staff. Like I said, we're planning this. It's an important issue to us, and we're going to continue working at it.
Okay, let's bring up Catherine Nepatello.
Good evening. I'm going to follow up on this a little bit. I've been a resident of West Islip for over 22 years. In that time, I have seen many changes in our community and in our schools. I'm proud of the ways in which we have risen to the many challenges we have faced over the years, consistently finding innovative ways to enhance our community and, most importantly, positive outcomes for our children. Our schools are the pride of our community. They are the reason many of us moved here, that our children may have the privilege of receiving an exemplary education in a safe and nurturing environment. On this, I think we can all agree. We all want our children to have the freedom to thrive in a welcoming and supportive learning environment. We all want our children to be seen and to be valued, each for the beautiful individuals that they are. Creating spaces where every child feels their worth makes great schools even better. Sounds simple enough, yet I am here once again to remind you all that this is sadly not the reality for all of our students. And I am here once again to speak for them. The indisputable fact is that there are children who are more at risk than others of becoming targets of bullying, being stigmatized and ostracized by their peers and by their community. We all know this torment is directly linked to an increased risk for mental health crises, including suicide. Sadly, we also know that such harassment continues to exist in our midst. Until we ensure that every child feels safe in our schools, that every child has the freedom to learn unencumbered by fear and by ridicule, true excellence in education remains just an aspiration. When we teach our children to see the value in others, to celebrate not only what unites us, but what makes us each uniquely our own, to reach out to pull others in, we are preparing them not only to be valuable members of this community, we are preparing them to be respected members of any community. In our schools, these efforts begin, of course, by supporting our wonderful teachers who deserve our respect as well as the academic freedom to be the professionals we know that they are. Our teachers are the vein through which every child is empowered to believe in themselves, in all that they are and can be. And then there is community. Communities have the power to lift up these students or to inflict more harm. For those who are most vulnerable, the messages we put out there can make all the difference. Facts matter. Words matter, actions matter. It is up to each of us to decide what role we will play. I ask you to consider the question, what is yours? I know that I will do all I can to continue to support both our teachers and our students so that West Islip can be a place we are all proud to call home. I hope you will join me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to call up Don Henning.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to the board. I got to be honest with you. I come to board meetings in the past, a long time ago, but it's impressive to see how much you're doing and involved in and trying to do. So I thank you there. I think something that you all agree on, and we all agree on, is the safety of our children. I am a 40-year resident of West Islip. I'm a 35-year resident of Barberry Road. I'm at 7, right at the stop sign. I get this perfect view of the buses flying through the stop signs, the students, the teachers, the parents. I walk my dog, and pretty much on a daily basis, I have to make sure I time it so I'm not there when they're out of school. But when they're out of school, it is so freaking dangerous. It's ridiculous. I don't know if you're aware, and I'm going to cut this way back because so many people have said everything already, but are you aware of the bus races? Are you aware of the bus races? So what happens is when the buses leave at like 2:20, they come out and they know there's going to be traffic, getting at the stop sign, so they go through the stop sign. But what they do is after the first couple, the next couple go down Larkspur, and they race as fast as they can around those turns, all the way to that stop sign, to get in front of the other buses. Maybe they bet, I don't know. But they're trying to get to that light before the other buses. It's so dangerous, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's amazing that we know one kid was almost killed because of it all. So anyway, it's extremely safe, unsafe. When you think about the school in general, and Steve and Russ mentioned about, 2022, and you think about what's safer for the school. Is a single access or multiple access safer for the school? I mean, think about it. If you were a bad guy and you were trying to go to a school and do something harmful, would you go to a school that had one access point with a little hut that you had to go around and speed bumps? Or would you go to a school that had another access point that you could speed down the road, get onto Robert Moses Causeway in about 3 minutes? Think about it. It's not safe. It doesn't make sense. So, last thing I'm going to say is about the letter from Principal Bridgman. In August, he did what he always does, and heard it a few times, and Janine read some of the letter, and very respectful. And then this week we get another letter from him, very short, not respectful, just saying this is the decision, basically go on your way. I don't know why he did it. Why did he change his mind? Why would he cave like that? Is he afraid of his job? I don't know. But some kind of pressure had to have been put on him to cave like that. It's not right. It's not fair to the community. It's not fair to the kids. So I hope you do the right thing here. The last thing I'll say is this issue will not go away. We're going to be protecting our kids. You would be protecting your kids. So I'm just telling you, this will not go away with the decision that it's the way it stands today.
I just wanted to just follow up with that in just regards to the letter. I believe that the intention there was not to inform the community. There was some initial criticism of the rollout of the decision, which I acknowledged to a number of people that reached out to me from the community. We sent out, a district all posted on the website and things like that. However, many community members, informed me that typically residents had been informed of decisions like this in the past. The intention of Dr. Bridgman in handing out that letter was to talk about days outside of the Barberry Gate being open, that it would be additionally open, like weekend days, that it may be open. So if that was lost in translation, we'll. So I can take a look at it. I'm happy to take a look at the letter. But I would just say that.
So we got it Monday. Undated.
Here's the August letter where it talks about that. Here's the
Thank you.
very, very short, abrupt letter saying,
So we'll take a look at those. I just want to share that a lot of the times when we make decisions as a school district, we take a look at the overall. We take a look at we have talked about the 41 families in the area. We have 3,800 families in the school district, and we sometimes make decisions that may not be popular or that may have negative implications. And I just want to say that I am not someone, I know that I don't know everyone personally in this room. I'm personally not someone that cannot be reflective and cannot acknowledge the fact that this is obvious. There's no denying that this has had an impact on your community. Okay, and I've heard from people that I'm lacking empathy or don't have a heart or things like that. That's absolutely not true. And we've heard everything that you've had to say this evening. This was a decision that was made with good intentions. However, it's clear that this is made, and I see people shaking their head like I don't understand what that's about, but it was made with good intentions, and we're hearing what you have to say though. I'll bring it back to my cabinet, my administrative team. We'll speak with the board about this, and we will take a look and follow up with some parents who have also said that I will follow up with. But it did not go on deaf ears this evening, and we heard everything that you had to say. So I can assure you that.
All right, let's bring up Doreen Henschel.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome, Dr. Romanelli. I have 3 sons who graduated from West Islip. The youngest graduated last June. Very quickly, I wasn't talking about Wilson, but just so I remind everybody, you might remember me 20 years ago talking about Wilson. I am a Wilson dyslexia practitioner since 2004. I'm certified in Wilson. I've been advocating for Wilson for many years. I stopped because I felt parents also weren't putting enough time into their own children. But with that said, I'm not going to get into Wilson now. I did that, been there. I've spoken to people on this Board of Education, and I've explained in detail what the program requires. And the thing I'm going to say now is that no teacher should be saying that they are Wilson certified in any school district unless they have level 1 certification. It's misleading, it's not fair, it's not ethical, period. If anyone has any questions about me and what I do, ask me. I consider myself, I don't want to say expert because that's being conceited. The most important thing in America is our freedom of speech and diversity of thought. And unfortunately, as time has gone on, we're losing this. Last year we talked a lot, the community talked a lot about DEI, and the community as a whole was very upset about it. And because it comes from Marxism and socialism backgrounds, and I have ample information, but I only have 3 minutes, which I'm hoping we can revisit that this year and change that too, because that's also an issue of freedom of speech and thought. So basically, I respect anybody's position. I love conversations. I would respect anybody on any side of any topic. I would never call anybody a name. I believe in children. I'm an educator. I'm an anti-bullying speaker, writer in the past. Well, still am. Taught 2nd and 3rd grade in the past. So I truly love children and families, but I am very concerned where America is going. I made this very clear last year. So if you are tired of political correctness, if you are tired of parents' rights being taken away from their students in public schools, if you value free speech, if you value diversity of thought, if you're tired of the sexualization of young children in our schools, then vote red on this Tuesday. Thank you.
Yeah, just wanted to say just about Wilson reading. No one is claiming to have Wilson certified teachers just in the district, and it's something that we are working towards as a district. So we have taken some of the first steps there. We're definitely looking to build on that.
I just want to throw in there, because I did have a couple of seconds left. I have to give credit to Ms. Morrison, because Ms. Morrison was the first person who ever acknowledged that dyslexia is real. 20 years ago, when my son was 8, he's now a college graduate, successful in his field. I was told that dyslexia didn't exist for special education. I resigned from my teaching position at that time to advocate full-time for my son at that time, and became certified in Wilson. And I always say God is the best, and He is the best, because He humbles us and He teaches what we don't know. Graduate school, regular ed, bachelor's degree, I couldn't teach my own son how to read. Okay, I became certified in Wilson because I was humbled and I had to admit what I didn't know. And I know it now. And I just get very frustrated, not just this district. Parents also have to put the time in. They blame the schools too much. You need to sit with your children and do homework with them. You might not get to do all you want to do, your children come first. And that's why I literally stopped advocating, because parents would come up to me at different fundraisers in the district. And they say, oh, no, I'm not doing that. It's the teacher's job. Oh, I'm gonna get my lawyer out to everybody. It's a two-way street. And I try to be fair with that. So, like I said, I know it's hard to do that training because I know it's a very big commitment, but I spend years and years and years advocating for Wilson in our schools, and 20 years later, we're still saying the same story, and it's not okay. Either just say that you have teachers who went for 3-day training, and even teachers themselves are accountable. If they're teaching their students how to read, they should really learn how to take apart the English language. And it's unfortunate that they're not taking you up on your offer, Ms. Morrison. And you know I'm a fan of yours, so anything I say, again, it might not be comfortable, but in order to move forward and have solutions to problems, we need to be uncomfortable, and students need to be uncomfortable. I hate hate, but if we say everything is hate speech, the children aren't learning how to communicate with one another. We have to build their confidence by exploring their talents and having them be confident in themselves to avoid the bullying. But to shut everybody's opinions down, I'm almost finished, I promise, I'm almost done. To shut people's opinions down by saying we have to accept every value and every belief of everybody else sacrifices their own values and their own confidence. We can be kind and loving and tolerant, but that acceptance is very tricky. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Christine Pellegrino? You had that surprised look, almost like the Price is Right look.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I have a few notes for this evening. I'm Christine Pellegrino. My first comment for this evening is as just resident of West Islip. I'm a senior in the high school. I want to really say thank you for considering the Miss Sarah Committee's really creative solution around a vocational and technology center. I think that is an amazingly creative idea that was put forward, and I really want to lift up that idea as something that could really add a tremendous amount of innovative creativity to our community. And I want to, add my congratulations for putting that forward and to back that up. Has a pre-K center come into the conversation at all, and add my little 2 cents on that. I am also in my current role as the Vice President of the Long Island Pride PTSA. And in that role, I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Romanelli, for the decision that came forward to adjust the policy that kids did not have to go into the locker room to change if they came to school already prepared for gym. I think that makes a concerted effort to allow kids to be themselves and to not have to be uncomfortable in spaces, and I really want to congratulate you for that and to say thank you. And as the former New York State Assemblywoman in this community, I want to say, Mr. Fernandez, who is here as the first speaker today, was a good friend of mine, and I had the distinct honor of being in his presence in his studio. And if there's anybody here that has gone to his martial arts studio here in our community, if you haven't visited him, please take some time to go visit him, because he is an amazing individual, and what services he provides to the able and to the disabled is incredible. And whether or not we can accommodate him in that space or not, if that's a possibility, I think he provides our community with something that is so special and so unique. And it was just so wonderful seeing him here tonight. The last comment that I have for you is to really say thank you and kudos on the launch of the Equity Committee. That was really so wonderful to hear that has gotten off the ground. I'm so sorry, I just need 2 more seconds. And to bring in Tracy Edwards, who is an amazing individual, who is renowned in this field, to our community, really grateful to bring her in. I'm just wondering, how are parents included in this committee? How are those individuals brought in? And of course, I'm raising my hand to be included in that.
Yeah, just, thank you. This is more, I was thinking, Chair, about the parent piece. I just want to say that I can't take credit for the changing decision. It was a conversation that we began. However, I am just very appreciative of Mr. Haran, our athletic director, who really is someone who makes decisions involving all stakeholders, spoke to community members, talked to parents, talked to students, reached out to his listserv to see what other practices in other districts are for changing. It's something that really happened during the pandemic. That's one of those things that allow people to reflect on that and say, you know what, if students are coming to school wearing their physical education clothes and want to participate, we should let them. Because locker rooms were closed during the pandemic and we didn't really see much of a difference. There was an old belief that, you know, it was a hygiene thing, and that was disproved when sometimes students would change in their locker but then keep the same clothes in there for the entire year. So it really was kind of like a counterproductive sort of thing. So we changed the policy in that way. He collaborated with the teachers in his department and you know, really made a joint decision. So it was him and his department of teachers that did that. But we're in agreement with the decision. And then Mrs. Morrison, do you want to talk about the parent selection?
So we are working with Eastern Suffolk BOCES, and when I was speaking with them about putting this initial committee together, they suggested that it be really no more than 20 people. So I had gone to the PTA and asked them if they could reach out to their membership to see who would be interested in sitting on the committee. So that is how the parents were put on the committee. There is a representation of parents K-12. As we go through this process, there will be opportunities for more involvement. We just have to really get this process started. Tracy Edwards is absolutely amazing. She has been to the district on many occasions. She's done a great job at talking with our staff, our administration, our Board of Education in regards to the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusivity. And we are going to be scheduling her to come for some parent academies so that she can also start sharing that information with our parents. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it was a long meeting. There was a lot of passion, I guess, coming from the audience, and I just want to again reiterate that whether it was Barberry, whether it was DEI, or the Equity Committee, again, we are listening to everything. We are all taking notes, and as a team, we are going to make the best decision, what's best for everybody. Community members, and of course the children here at West Islip. So with that being said, I do thank you all for attending tonight. Can I please have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Can I adjourn? Can I get this
Yes, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session, please, where the board will discuss personnel, negotiations, and litigation? Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Good night, everybody. Thank you again for attending.